Hello and welcome to The Inferno. I'm your host, Allison Gargaro. With me today, we have our panel that includes Johnny Soto.
I'm Dirty Dan.
Joe Cortez.
No, I'm Dirty Dan.
And Jackson Dingermond.
Who you calling Pinhead, Pinhead?
Last weekend was a huge game for ASU as they took on Stanford and Tempe. Last time they saw each other was for the Pac-12 championship where the Cardinal prevailed, but not this time. Starting quarterback Taylor Kelly was available, however, Mike Bercovici continued to start as quarterback. The Devils triumphed over the Cardinal with a score of 26-10. For an in-depth analysis for more Pac-12 games, let's toss it over to our panel.
ASU Stanford, huge game, nationally televised.
Yeah.
This game had typical ASU loss written all over it, right?
Not gonna lie,
sure.
I thought they were gonna lose.
Nope, the Devils turned out what was probably the most complete game of the Todd Graham era. The stat line wasn't all that impressive, but think about this. Stanford hadn't given up more than 17 points all year. They haven't trailed by more than 14 points since 2011, and they had been ranked in the top 25 for 72 straight weeks. That's not calendar weeks, that's game weeks. Let's get to the highlights. Spoiler alert, Foster scores here. More importantly, check out the clock. This run right here was ASU's 23rd of the game. You know how many rushes they had all game against USC? 22. Huge play right here. We have Ty, you ain't Willie Mays Montgomery. The muff punt, just how Todd Graham drew it up. This led to a Jalen Strong touchdown. ASU forced 2 turnovers, both on special teams. Here's the second one. This was off an ASU field goal. Taking it away from Montgomery this time. That's Demarie Nelson on the initial hit. A little tough to see from that angle, but let's see, right here. Wait for it. Ball is out. ASU recovers. They tack on another field goal, and that would be it for Stanford.
Colorado USC. Seems like a blowout, and it was. Colorado University had high hopes traveling to USC last week as they wanted to bring the Gold Rush to California, but their luck quickly ran out. Let's go to the highlights. This touchdown put USC up 28-0 before the first quarter was even over. The Trojans' offense took a quick break in the second quarter, scoring only 7 points. However, USC didn't waste any time. They opened up the second half with the touchdown on the first drive. Colorado was ready to make their way back to the Forest, but the touchdowns just kept coming. USC's quarterback Cody Kessler threw for a school record of 7 touchdowns. Colorado ended up losing 56-28. Their hope for ever getting a football website continues to fade as they can't seem to string 3 W's together, with their record falling to 2-5.
If you give up 7 touchdowns,
you're going to have a bad day.
You're going to have a bad
This is
time.
a bad day.
All right, for now, my matchup, I had number 9 at the time, Oregon taking on Washington. Let's go to the highlights. That motorcycle is almost as sick as Oregon's throwbacks. In the first quarter, Marcus Mariota hands it off to Royce Freeman. He finds a gap, decides to put the boosties on, and takes it up the middle for the easy 37-yard run. Then in the second, Mariota decides to run it in himself. Psych, he dumps it off to Freeman again for his second touchdown of the day. And you know Mariota has quite the arm, and he shows it on this play right here as he finds tight end Farrell Brown, dodges the first defender, then stiff arms the next, and he might go all the way. Just kidding, he only gets 66 yards. It was all Oregon in this one, 45-20. Allison?
Now we have a new segment called Controversial Calls. This is where we'll take a look back at some calls that were pretty close and pretty controversial. Let's send it over to Hunter and Tyler.
I'm Hunter Davis, alongside the Hobbs to my Calvin, the Tyler Lyon. Today we have a special little something for you that we like to call the controversial calls. The call we're going to focus on today is the offensive PI call against Notre Dame. On 4th down from the Florida State 2-yard line, Tyler, take it away.
Thanks, Hunter. Let's take a look at that play. Here we have it, late game situation. Crucial play for the Irish. Everett Golson, easy toss to Corey Robinson for what appears to be an easy 6 for the Irish. But hold on just 1 second, folks. Pass interference called on the offense. We're going to look at this one more time. You're going to see CJ Prosise run right into the defender, who is Jalen Ramsey. But you really can't tell who the aggressor is. Prosise looks to put his shoulder down, which would, of course, be illegal, but it's tough to tell. Somebody has to make that decision, even if it is up in the air, and that's not me, nor is it Hunter, but let me tell you who can tell. The Zebras. They're going to say that the Irish attacked the Seminole on this one. Brian Kelly on a roller coaster of emotion. Notre Dame wouldn't be able to score and ended up losing this game to Florida State 31-27. Now, let's review controversial calls from the past. So, Hunter, tell me, you think anything more controversial than this call?
There's quite a few, but first off, the Irish can't seem to catch a break, Tyler. Leading 1-0 in the World Cup qualifiers against powerhouse France, Thierry Henry grabs the ball with his hand, kicks it in and ties up the match. The only issue here, folks, is that you can't use your hands in soccer. It's called football for a reason. The Irish would go on to lose the match 2-1 and not qualify for the World Cup, Tyler.
Now, sometimes I wonder why they call it the luck of the Irish, because here's some more bad luck for those Leprechauns. The year is 2005. The clash of the Trojans and the Irish has been a gruesome one. After the climax of the game, it's 4th and 1. Matt Leinart can practically smell the end zone, and the Trojans run a QB sneak, but Leinart gets stuffed. But don't you worry, here comes the Heisman forfeiting, talented running back from the backfield, Reggie Alfred Bush, who essentially picks Leinart up and places him in the end zone. Thus, the Bush push is born.
Next, we have Week 4 Monday Night Football 2012. Seahawks Packers locked into a defensive battle with the Packers up 12-7. 8 seconds left, 4th and 10, ball on the 24-yard line. Wilson tossed up a ball that literally might have touched Zeus, as when it landed into a sea of green, a gold star came out with the ball. And that gold star was indeed Golden Tate, locking 2 hands on the pigskin, seeming to rip it away from Packers safety MD Jennings. Refs rushed to the side of the fallen star, one signaling interception, other praising Zeus, signaling touchdown. After discussion, it is indeed ruled a touchdown. Seahawks win.
Thanksgiving, 1998, Detroit, Michigan. Steelers and Lions fighting for playoff contention. The game can't be decided within the confines of 4 quarters, so we're going to overtime. Captains are out on the field for the coin toss. The bust, Jerome Bettis, is asked by the referee the simplest of questions. Heads or tails? Bettis goes with his gut, being raised on the notion that tails never fails. The coin falls. It's tails. Referee Phil Luckett then proceeds to tell Bettis that he called heads. So it's Lions ball, Lions victory, and the bus would have a very disappointing trip home.
So Tyler, another issue we have on our hands, Ebola. So spring break 2015, are we still going on the African safari?
Hunter, I'm going to have to say no here. I'm not digging the Ebola in Africa right now. Maybe 2016.
2016? This year, Cabo.
Cabo, I'm in.
Cabo?
Sounds wonderful.
Sounds good. That's all we have for controversial calls. For Tyler Lyon, I'm Hunter Davis.
We had some good games this past weekend, so let's pass it over to Jacob Janauer to give us a look at the Pac-12 standings. Jacob?
Thanks, Allison. Topping the Pac-12 South is USC with a 4-1 conference record. Then it's Arizona State, who is 14th in the AP polls, which is the highest ranked in the Pac-12 South. Then under them in the Pac-12 South, the AP poll, and literally south of Arizona State, is the University of Arizona. Up next at 4th in the Pac-12 South is the Utah Utes, followed by the UCLA Bruins, and last and actually least in this situation is Colorado, with 0, yes, count 'em, 0 conference wins, and a 2-5 overall record. Also, Colorado is the only team in the Pac-12 South who is not ranked. Such a shame. To start off the Pac-12 North, Oregon is first, having an impressive 3-1 record in conference play. Next is Stanford in second after coming off a loss to Arizona State. Following them is Cal, then Washington. Fifth is Oregon State, and to finish off the Pac-12 North, Washington State sits quietly at the bottom with a 1-3 conference record and 2-5 overall record. But hey, it's still anyone's shot at the title. That's all for the standings. Back to you, Allison.
Now it's time for everyone's favorite part of the show, Pick'ems. The first game is Oregon versus Cal. Panel, who do you expect to win?
This is actually going to be a good game. Sorta. Cal has been a pleasant surprise this year with a 4-3 record. They also almost beat good teams like U of A. They're not that good, but UCLA. However, Oregon is 6th in the nation with scoring points at 43.6. And even though Cal's offense has been putting points on the board, their defense is their weak spot. So I've got to go with the Ducks. Not antler ears, duck wings.
Moose antlers. They are definitely moose antlers.
All right. You know, is that Cal's secondary or some Swiss cheese? Cal's been allowing almost 400 yards per game through the air. And Heisman candidate quarterback Marcus Mariota of the Ducks has been on fire this season, completing 72% of his passes, including 19 touchdowns and no interceptions. I don't really see a way that Cal can stop this air assault that's going to happen on Saturday, so I got to give this one to the Ducks.
Is this one of those things where you turn it sideways and it's a rabbit? There we go. Yeah.
Oh, it's one of those abstract. Shout out to Wikipedia.
Anyways, Cal's hung in there against some pretty good teams.
Yeah.
Last week they gave UCLA.
They should have beat UCLA.
Yeah, they gave them everything it can handle. That said, Oregon isn't your average pretty good team. I'm going with Oregon, an actual duck.
Next, we have USC versus Utah. Do you guys see the surprisingly ranked Utah Utes beating USC in Salt Lake City this time?
We are still drawing.
Excuse us.
Still drawing. Because have you ever tried to draw something for Utah? Not easy.
Didn't think so.
All right, what do you got, Johnny?
All right, USC has been doing well ever since the jail Mary. They are 2-0. They're playing like they have nothing to lose. On the other side, Utah, they've been running over teams that is led by junior Devontae Booker. So that's why I got to go with the Utes in this one.
Yeah, USC, easy for me to say, struggles on the road, and they struggle closing out games. That's not a good recipe when you're playing a ranked team on the road. We're going Utah.
You know what? Utah is probably the most overlooked team this year in the Pac-12. A 5-1 record, the Utes are playing some mighty fine football this season. But how will they fare against USC? Can they pass the test? Can they edge out their quarterback, Cody Kessler? This is going to be a close one, but I got to go with the Utes in this one.
Now on to our last game, ASU versus Washington. Panel, who would you rather see as the starting quarterback? Taylor Kelly or Mike Bercovici?
Personally, for me, it really doesn't matter. Both quarterbacks are great, and as Joe stated earlier in the show, ASU is coming off their best win of the season, even the defense's best performance thus far. On the other side, we showed you earlier Washington coming off a disappointing loss against Oregon, so ASU should win this game.
For what it's worth, I'm a Burko guy. Nothing against Taylor Kelly, but Washington has struggled against some really bad teams, and ASU's coming off a big win. What do you got, Jackson?
You know what? For me, it doesn't matter who's at QB for ASU. They're playing some lights out football this season, so that's why we're going with
ASU.
That's all the time we have for today. A big thanks to our panel, Jacob, and production crew. I'm Alison Gargaro, and this has been The Inferno.